Talked to Ben Shapiro about it today on his show, but it won't be out until Sunday.
What is? Have you ever encountered her in the world?
I know Roseanne. I talked to her on the phone, and I believe every word she said. She told me that she was taking Ambien and that she was drunk on Memorial Day weekend, and she tweeted a bunch of stupid shit, and she's out of her fucking mind. And she said, you know, in her words, I need to adjust my meds. You know, I'm not thinking straight. And she was talking about how exhausted she got doing that television show, and she got bronchitis, and she was overworked. I think she's stressing the fuck out. She also told me that she did not know that that lady was even black. She thought that lady was Jewish. And she said to me, like, do you really think that I would make a joke about a black lady and say Planet of the Apes? I wouldn't fucking do that. She's like, I thought she was Jewish. Look at her. So I did look at her. Like, pull up her Wikipedia page, this lady. She, I mean, she most certainly, pull it up so we can see it. I mean, she most certainly could be African American, for sure. But she also most certainly could be like Hawaiian or Native American or
point being that
Italian, maybe. She thought Jewish. That's what Roseanne said, Jewish. This is what she said. I do not know. I don't think she's lying to me. I don't think she's racist.
Have you ever taken Ambien?
No, I've never taken Ambien.
I talked anybody here ever take Ambien?
A good friend of mine about it today.
Okay.
And he got up in the middle of the night, cooked himself a meal, ate it, went to sleep, got up in the morning, and had no recollection of it. He had to be told that he did. He was trying to figure out who put the plates in the sink, who ate this food, where this food come from. He couldn't figure it out. He got up in the middle of the night, doesn't remember a thing,
right? And
cooked himself a meal, sat down, ate it, went back to bed, has zero recollection of it.
I hate to be this guy,
scared the shit out of him.
But during that meal, at any point, did he get racist or anything like that?
I wonder.
You know what I'm saying?
See,
like he's literally like it's one thing.
Really
it's a spooky story
right.
to be like I took Ambien and I made myself some food. It's an even spookier story to be like I took Ambien and I fucking killed somebody. But it's a stretch to be like
it is.
I took Ambien and I said something I would never say in a million years. It heartens me to hear you say that she said that she wasn't aware of the lady's race.
Yeah.
Because I don't know her. All I know her from is Roseanne. All I know her from is decades of watching her in media. Her TV show. I followed her before the TV show. It didn't seem like the Roseanne that I've watched for 30, 40 years.
Well, see, that's the thing. I'm not close to her on a daily basis.
Right.
You know, I have tremendous respect for her as a comedian. I think she was a real pioneer in a lot of ways. She was this brash, like really confident lady who shit on stupid men. And she did it in this like really bold way in stand-up that was very unique for the time.
Right.
Like if people go back and you watch like some of her early stand-up when she was coming out of Denver,
the domestic goddess stuff.
she was a beast, man. She was a beast. She was crushing.
Yeah.
She was crushing, you know, and then she got that sitcom and it's absolutely one of the greatest sitcoms of all time.
Yeah.
But now she's 65 years old and it's fucking hard for her. And that schedule, she was telling me, was absolutely brutal and that they were killing her with all the work. I don't know her very well, but
right.
I do know there was another time where she said something about Susan Rice, who is another African-American woman, and she said something about her and compared
swinging
her to
balls.
Yeah, something like swinging ape balls. You know.
So that's 2 for 2.
It's 2, yeah. Well, this one for sure, right? Because this one there's no excuse for.
Right.
So this is one from the past that there was no, like, oh my God, I was on Ambien and I tweeted this. No one said anything. Susan Rice is a man with big swinging ape balls.
And that wasn't meant to be a compliment,
That's 2013. Okay, so that's a
so
long time ago. That's 5 years ago.
Oh, and you can, I mean, I don't know if it's still available, but if you can go through a timeline and see a bunch of things that are not like a comedian being funny, but,
right.
Beliefs.
Right. That one is, that's a rough one. That to me is a way rougher one. It's way rougher. Like that one is like, that's what you said. I mean, it is what it is. You know, if you said that the other lady looked like Planet of the Apes just because of her haircut, because she looks like the lead woman.
Zira?
Yeah, she looked like Zira. There was like a photo of her back. It was just like the way her haircut was and her outfit was.
Right.
I think some people, would But if you didn't know that she was black, it's a totally different thing.
Yeah.
Do we know that for sure? Only she knows for sure. It's.
Were you surprised at how quickly it all ended?
Yeah. Well,
that was the part of the story that, like, again, I've no skin in the game other than I watched the old Roseanne and I was enjoying the new Roseanne as well. But I came home from, like, I was in Vegas the other day and I flew home yesterday morning, and then I had a meeting over at the studios like at noon. So I took a nap when I got home. Like, and all of a sudden my wife wakes me up and she goes, you got a meeting, don't forget. Like, it's 11:30. Oh, and Roseanne's been canceled. And I'm like, that's impossible.
What?
Like, I was groggy, but I'm like, that's impossible. It's like 20 million people are watching that show. And she said she tweeted something racist. So I fucking pick up my phone and I look at it and stuff. And by the time, like, this had happened in the span of like the hour I took a fucking nap. The network acted so fucking incredibly fast. There was no prevarication, equivocation.
No, dude, they had that axe sharpened and ready.
It was nuts. Like, all of a sudden they were just like, we're done. We don't know her. Disavow. And it was, I think it was so surprising because it's been a while since somebody did something even superficially moral.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, I've read a lot of articles online where people are like, hey man, ABC didn't own the show, so of course they didn't have as much skin in the game, so it was easy for them to cancel it. Would they have canceled it as fast if they owned the show and ... You can make a bunch of kind of caveats, but at the end of the day, something bad happened and then the network reacted. A major fuck the network. A major company, major corporation
Do you think
reacted
what they did
and acted.
is the right way to handle it? To just immediately cancel the show?
I personally would have maybe fired her and kept everybody else. Done like the Valerie.
Have her die off?
Yeah.
Or just use computer animation?
You could replace her with a Pixar-ish character, but I think you can tell equally compelling stories. Like, without her, honestly, like the 9 episodes that they've done this season, she really hasn't been the driving factor of the stories. It's been more about Darlene. And that's who I felt bad for when this whole thing imploded, because I'm like, she put this show together, Sarah Gilbert, and she was like crushing on it. She was like really good, showing off like what a great actress she is. But now everybody's out of job. Feel bad for John Goodman. I've worked with him before. And he was wonderful on the show. Like, they could have sustained the show without her, I think.
Can she be forgiven?
Sure. I mean, didn't Mel Gibson get forgiven? Isn't he working again?
Well, Mel Gibson, it was also a case of him being intoxicated, right? He was yelling some anti-Semitic stuff at a cop.
Well,
when
I
he was
mean,
drunk,
never mind that.
allegedly.
Didn't he also punch his ex-wife? Like, there was a more
something, right?
violent action than him just saying, hey, sugar tits. Like, there was some... His wife had recorded him, or the woman...
She recorded him yelling at her on the phone.
So nobody knows if he truly hit her.
I don't know.
All right, my bad. I thought that was part
I don't
of the story.
know. I don't know even the specifics of any accusations.
And I also didn't follow it that closely. And not because I'm like, man, that's Martin Riggs, and I don't want to hear nothing bad about him. I just didn't follow it because I'm like, ugh.
Yeah, man.
Can she be forgiven?
It's very,
sure.
very
Will she be
unfortunate.
forgiven? I don't know. I mean, look, she should have tweeted what you said instead of, oh my God, I took Ambien. Like, that turned into an opportunity for a major pharmaceutical company to like put out one of the best zingers Twitter's ever seen.
Good zinger.
Yeah, I mean, like, this is a company, they're not normally used to like, hey, what should we say to be funny?
Right.
Like, they have to put out very staid information. And for once they were like, how about this, guys? We say racism isn't a byproduct of our drug.
It was really well said.
It was. It was funny.
Well worded.
Makes you sit there and go like, why didn't I tweet that?
Whoever wrote it was pretty slick. The thing Ambien does do, though, it definitely makes you act bizarre. There's some people that's one of the side
This is the one
effects.
that's supposed to make you go to sleep.
I mean, if you just there's
Can't people just
websites
smoke
dedicated.
weed, eat edibles?
That would help,
right?
There's websites dedicated to people that have had crazy experiences on that stuff.
I've seen a few of those
And
stories.
it's not
the one that you told me about your friend cooking dinner is about the 4th time somebody's communicated that story.
People
Now,
drive
could have been
cars.
because they've been listening to your show and you may have said that story
Probably
before.
have. People drive cars on it. They go places
Without
they don't
realizing
know. Yeah, they don't
that
know what
they're
they're doing. They get places.
It's like the serpent in the rainbow, man. You become zombified and you're like, I'm not dead. You're Bill Pullman in a fucking casket.
Well, there was a guy that got pulled over a few years back who was famous, And I forget what he said, something about like, I got to get to the dance or something like that. And the cops were like, what the fuck are you talking about? And they realized like he was kind of out of it. And then after it was over, it was revealed that he had been on Ambien and that he had gotten in his car and really had no idea what the fuck.
He didn't even know he was
when
talking
the cops
to
were
cops.
pulling him over. Like literally the guy was in a dream.
It reminds me of when I was a kid. This was not drug related, but I was a kid. I was sleeping. I fell asleep on the couch watching TV. And before my brother had lost his fucking wallet at a school dance, and my mother was like, I'll drive you up there and try to find it. And my father would get up for work at about 9 o'clock at night and then head to work at 10 o'clock. And I think he started work at 11 o'clock at night. He worked at the post office canceling fucking stamps. So my mom tells me that, and I fall asleep on the couch watching like fucking Dynasty or some such shit. It was the 80s. And then my dad wakes me up because he woke up and nobody was home. Like my mom wasn't around, nobody was there. And he's like, where is everybody? And he fucking startled me awake. So I was like, what? Oh, Donald, they had to go to the school because Donald lost his Thriller. And my father goes, what? And I was like, Donald lost his Thriller. And he was like, I don't know what you're saying. And I was like, but Mom said that Donald lost his Thriller. And I kept replacing the word wallet with fucking Thriller. And my father looked at me and literally set me aside the next day to be like, are you using drugs? And I was like, no, you woke me up. I guess I was in some sort of, maybe I was dreaming about fucking Thriller. It was 1982, you know? Like,
yeah, your brain just never clicked back over into waking life. It
right.
just stayed in this weird zombie land.
Where wallet meant Thriller.
Did you find that, no?
What were we looking
Dude
for?
got pulled over, and I'm trying to remember what he told the cops where they realized that something was going on. I think it was in one of the articles that I tweeted. The story was in one of the articles that I tweeted.
What happens in that instance? You get
I don't
in trouble?
know. Here's the thing that I should
can
say
they arrest
for
you for
people.
being the Ambien driver?
It's a rare reaction because a lot of people take that shit.
Right.
You know, a
and
lot
you
of
don't
people,
hear this story all
right.
the time.
There's
not a
they're
web
not
page.
selling just a couple of those pills a day.
Right.
They're
And
selling
there's no
millions
web
of them.
page devoted to stories of people who took Ambien and got fired for being racist.
Right. Well, even better, there's no stories of people that took Ambien and, became addicted to it and became some sort of or is there? Is that addictive? Is Ambien addictive?
Yeah, I would say probably, yeah. I think getting addicted to falling asleep or needing it to fall asleep, probably, yeah.
Yeah, I guess if you were somebody who was like, I can't go to sleep without that.
Yeah, I wonder if it's addictive, like maybe like a heroin is addictive. No, right? Or like a speed, like people get like physically addicted to things.
Where it kind of
You
changes
need it.
the receptors on your... I don't know if it dulls the senses to the point where like when you... I mean, that's what the way heroin was always explained to me was when you're on heroin, the senses get dulled, the nerve receptors like just don't take in as much. But when you're not on heroin, that pain of withdrawal, part of it is the receptors coming back to life all at once. Wow. And it was likened,
Really?
yeah, Jason Mewes, long time
Right.
ago, had problems with that shit. So it was one of the rehab doctors communicated it thusly. He said, you know how when you sit on your hand and it fucking falls asleep? I'm like, yeah, totally. He's like, imagine that was your whole body and times it by 1,000,000. That's what he's going through.
Wow.
And I was like, oh. And then, because up till then I was always like, just fucking stop doing heroin. Just stop it.
Right.
And then meanwhile, I was eating a lot of sugar. Just stop doing your drug and eating my fucking drug. But once that dude explained it that way, I was like, oh, that would be fucking painful. No wonder the kid doesn't want to get off heroin because he's like, I know the path to not being on heroin is full of pins and needles. Oof. But you never die from it. That's the good thing about that. Like, you don't die from heroin withdrawal. We know from Amy Winehouse and other cases that you can die from alcohol withdrawal. Like, you can get off, like when you're in jail and you're kicking heroin, the cops just be like, here, just keep throwing up and pissing. But if you're kicking booze, they have to give you booze because your heart could stop. What are we looking at?
Look at this fucking article he pulled up. An estimated 446,000 people in the United States were current misusers of Ambien.
Now, what does a misuser mean?
Dangerous dependency to Ambien can develop after just 2 weeks of use. Don't attempt to quit without proper knowledge and before putting a medical treatment plan into place.
Wow. 2 weeks is all it takes.
2 weeks. And you're Gonzville, son. Maybe.
So
Maybe not.
You're
Maybe
driving
you're fine.
around having conversations
Maybe
with
you're
the
one of those
cop.
guys that uses Ambien and gets a good night's sleep and, and
Or the
has
worst
a
that
better
happens-
performance at the job in the morning.
You kind where you're like you just lose a word, like you're like Donald lost his thriller, and that's the lowest, mildest form of
Yeah,
your
just
Ambien.
every now and then you skip a word.
Which
That would
I
be
do now.
fine.
I call that hitting a pothole.
You know, Roseanne she's an older lady. She's in her 60s, and you know she's had some mental problems, and she's drinking, and she's taking that stuff to go to sleep, and she's not taking it for just 2 weeks. She's taking it a lot, you know, and she says she needs it to go to sleep. And I think there's a lot of people that feel like they need something to help them go to sleep.
That's fine, but
and
then
for
don't
many people, I
tweet.
think it fucking works. Yeah, I don't think
That's at the end of the day, it's not
Yeah.
like she took Ambien and that makes her bad. Like, no, it's that she fucking tweeted
Yeah.
what she did.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you think for a second that if in using this drug, which I need to go to sleep because I'm a late 60s woman
Mm-hmm.
and I need my rest or whatever, or you just deserve fucking sleep. Like, you know, I've never suffered from a lack of sleep, but I know people who have, and it's fucking mind-bending and stuff. But if you know you have to do that, and you know there's the slightest chance that you could become somebody else or say things that are not in your character, give up your fucking social media, man. Like,
Yeah, I don't think she
be that
probably
person.
realized that she was obviously going to do that. I think she had tweeted ridiculous shit in the past before, and it flew under the radar, and nobody cared.
Right.